thanks for taking the time. I'm a huge fan and really excited you're on True Blood. I'm just curious when fans are going to discover what exactly Marianne is doing in the town. Like kind of her, we're not really sure your ultimate plan.
Isn't that good television?
It is.
That we don't know quite yet. It's revealed over the course of the season, as is so much about the show. If last year we were introduced to this very interesting and fascinating little town in Louisiana, this second year it blows open, it sort of spins off into these little hurricane stories. You know, Bill and Sicky go off to Dallas, and we have the Fellowship of the Sun storyline, and then we have what's still happening in Bontemps with Marianne and the crowd at Merlotte's, and it's it gets very insane this year. We've had so much fun. It's criminal how much fun we've been having. And I think the show has just such an extraordinarily unique voice, and I've never seen anything like it on television before, and we've just had such an amazing time making this, and we all are very aware and very grateful that we're a part of something so unique and very special. And funny, it's so funny. And lots of sexy people running around with their clothes on. Can't beat that, right?
Aaron, do you have a question?
Not yet.
Oh, and don't forget Durham County, too, because that's one of your homegrown shows, and very, very important show that I was very proud to be part of.
Okay, I understand that you're a big supporter and fan of Canadian independent film.
Yes,
What would
indeed.
you say your favorite Canadian independent film was, or is? The top three.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, perhaps I should go by filmmakers first and say, obviously, Cronenberg, Goyen, and Bruce McDonald, who I'm a massive fan of. I would, there's a film that I've mentioned before in interviews that, and I don't know why, it just really appealed to me. Maybe it's because I'm always a sucker for orphan stories, but it was a film called Flower and Garnet. It was such a quiet, beautiful film that was so deep and really, I don't know, it was the first time that I really heard this Canadian voice, and I just, you're able to do things, it's a very special voice here that I've become aware of that is really pleasing to me. And I think Durham County is the equivalent of that, moving to television, which I think a lot of independent film, that voice has now moved into television in the States as well. A lot of the independent filmmakers are now directors on television, or creating their own shows, and a lot of the writers have moved into cable, and it's just, you know, as the landscape of entertainment is changing by the second, with the invention of the internet, it's a really great time everywhere. But you know, you have a very, you know, it's a smaller community here, and I think it's really, you're really able to foster these beautiful stories that, and that's just such a wonderful thing. It's really a wonderful thing.
Dawn?
Oh, and Tracy Fragments is another film that I was quite fond of with Bruce McDonald.
You seen Way Downtown?
Sorry?
You seen Downtown? Way
No.
Downtown. Oh, it's a brilliant movie. It's all
Who's
about-
that?
I forget who the director is. It's about these people who are living in downtown Toronto, but they're living in apartment buildings without going outside.
Oh.
Who can last the longest? It's crazy awesome.
Oh, that sounds really
living
fascinating.
and working underground. Basically.
Oh, really? Reminds me, I don't know if you've ever seen this Japanese film called The Hole. One of the strangest films I've ever seen. I actually felt like I was taking drugs when I was watching it. If you get a chance, just take a look at it. It's called The Hole, and it's been raining for like 6 years, and everybody's living in this apartment complex, and they can't leave, and it's fascinating. So I'm going to look into this, because apparently I like people being trapped indoors for some reason.
Renee?
Now, in your bio you say...
Excuse me. Renee?
Your name's not Renee.
Swimming with Sharks is one of my favorite movies. But I wanted to know, how close was that to what it's really like? And I know nobody would like tie up Kevin Spacey, but
Nobody
How-
would what? I'm sorry?
tie up Kevin Spacey and, you know, try and blow him
Really?
away. But
You'd be
but
surprised.
as far as the industry goes, was there any truth in that movie? The way how hardcore?
Absolutely.
Really.
Absolutely. Actually, the director George Wang and one of our producers, they were assistants for Joel Silver and Barry Josephson, and this was their story. It was George Wang's story, and then one of our producers, he also had worked as an assistant for both of them, oddly. And I gave another interview in the States recently where I was asked about it, and the truth of the matter is I said to them as we were filming, I was like, come on, you know, this is great, it's funny, it's entertainment. No one would suffer this kind of nonsense and abuse to be a producer or a director in this town. And they said, you know what, we tempered it. And what they told me about what they suffered through was beyond shocking to me, because I can't even understand. If somebody treated me that way, I would be out the door so quickly with a few choice words on my way out. But it's, I don't think it's as brutal as it used to be. I think in the 90s it was a particularly brutal time. I don't know if it's just the world I live in now where there's more humanity, and I think people are given more creative freedom. For the people that I choose to work with, like Alan Ball and Rodrigo Garcia, and of course working with HBO, it's a totally different world. It's nothing like that cutthroat world. It's a very supportive, loving, nurturing, creative family where they let people do the work that they want to do and that they need to do. And so I don't really live in that world, nor do I want to live in that world of the studio filmmaking world. I don't find it appealing on a human level, and I don't find the content or the roles particularly inviting or intriguing. So, but it did exist, and it still does exist in that world, I guess, of the Brett Ratners and the what have you. I mean, I hear extraordinary stories, and I'm just so glad I'm not a part of them.
Wayne, do you have-
I was just wondering, I've been watching True Blood, and it seems like that statue, do you know what that statue is? Because I'm thinking it's like, since you're in the party mood all the time over there, I'm thinking it's like Bacchus and some sort of like Bacchus statue or something like that.
Actually, that statue has enormous meaning as the season goes on, and there's been a lot of interest about that statue, and the Brooklyn Museum, which is where they found that statue, and replicated it, they've been inundated with people wanting to know about that statue and the history of that statue, and so it's really wonderful that in this show that seems to be about vampires and what have you has now garnered this conversation about Greek mythology and ancient art and thoughts of injustice. It's a landscape that has opened up this really beautiful conversation and dialogue, and it's funny and it's quirky and it's really its own animal. But that statue has a lot of meaning as we careen like a train on fire throughout the rest of the season.